Well, I think that wraps up the game discussion, the review of the week that was. So let us get into some predictions. We will start with everybody's favorite club, Loudoun United, taking on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And we'll start with you, Alex.
Loudon always does this shit, but they're still doing it. Didn't do it tonight, but yeah, I'm gonna put Loudon on a roll. So Loudon.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, through the 15 all-time meetings, Pittsburgh's won 13 of these matchups. I mean, Loudon finally got at least a draw against Pittsburgh last year in July 2024, but Loudon hasn't actually beaten Pittsburgh since the ninth Fast and Furious film was in theaters in 2021.
Love these facts.
I'm going to go with a draw against my better judgment, but Loudon picking up a win here would not surprise me. It's just a historical series. It's very much pointed in the Riverhounds' favor.
Omaha just knocked off San Antonio.
Let's go.
Now it really is set up for the third year in a row. Omaha. Now, if Locomotive do the business tomorrow, they can still get knocked out by Dom Casciano. So I went for a draw in this one too. I think it is. I appreciate Alex. I'm appreciating that Lads is catching on. So thank you for that. But I also I think I do like a lot of what this Loudoun side does. I think Pittsburgh is very strong as well, and I think in particular this matchup just seems to, I don't know. To me, this is like low amount of chances, probably low amount of goals. And I'm thinking like a scoring draw, but I think it'll be a tight one.
Yeah, I mean, Loudoun, I want to say they're 7-0 against teams that aren't Lou City this season, which is kind of incredible. Seeing how Pittsburgh has lined themselves up throughout the season, I really do trust Loudoun to go and get a result and break down that Bob Lilly defense. I think notably United rested Abdelatif Abakora for a decent swath of today's Open Cup game. Having his legs as fresh as possible is going to matter. So Loudoun for me in this one. Moving down to League One, honestly, the matchup of the weekend across the entire USL, if you ask me, and I would never have seen it coming in the preseason, it is FC Naples and One Knox. Alex.
So in our chat, I said Knoxville, but full disclosure, I said that without thinking about the fact that Knoxville has to travel to Colorado Springs midweek and then travel to Naples. I'm going to stick with it. I think this is where Naples' luck. I'm not going to say it runs out, but I think this is the one that's going to break the streak. Knoxville.
One interesting stat that I've seen with this team, in addition to Naples being one of the few teams in the world to have never lost any match they've ever played, asterisk next to that stat. But from this season, both teams have yet to lose a game where they've scored the opening goal in the match across all competitions. I think finding the opening goal of this one is going to be really crucial for this fixture. I have Naples here just for the lack of travel that they won't have to undertake, such as what Knoxville will have. But this is going to be a really fun match to watch.
I'm going to sound like the anti-Kaler here because I went for a draw in this one. I think that, but I like a lot of, similar to the last one, I like a lot of what both teams are doing. Naples have obviously been perfect up to this point, and the idea that they're not going to drop points at some point in time, it just feels unrealistic. And I think the way this Knoxville team has played, I think they're going to take points off them. But yeah, I've got it as a draw.
Leaning Knoxville's way here, I didn't consider the travel point, which is making me very nervous. But I like the idea of Fernandez and Skelton coming up against Henderlong. I feel like if anybody can do the job against him, it's this center back pairing. I talk a lot about the midfield with Knoxville, and I think the way that they press, the way that they organize themselves can stem a lot of what makes Naples so effective when they can get out into space. But yeah, this is a real litmus test for both of these teams. Excited to see it play out. And that means we are going to wrap up in the USL Super League. Dallas taking on Fort Lauderdale United. Alex.
Yeah, I think Dallas is due for a 2-0 win here.
I love the scoreline specificity.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a scoreline as well.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about it, though.
Yeah. Ryan.
Yeah, I have Dallas in a lock in this one. All of their wins in the spring seasons thus far have been 1-0, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got Dallas winning. I believe I locked them as well. I think it's a good matchup for Dallas, and it's essentially a Super League game for Dallas that is not against Carolina, so you have to favor Dallas.
I am changing my pick on this one. Thinking about the way that Dallas lost to Spokane, tons of issues on the wings and at the wingback spots. That's Fort Lauderdale's bread and butter. They've got Hamid, they've got Gordon. They're really able to attack you in those spaces. And I think Fort Lauderdale, frankly, is a more efficient team than the Zephyr are. So, hey, Fort Lauderdale, Tyrone Mears, go on and get it up in this one.
That'll never not be weird that Tyrone Mears is the manager of Fort Lauderdale. Like, it's just...
It takes me out every single time. Like, there's some disconnect of he's managing Fort Lauderdale United in the USL Super League, and this is Tyrone Mears. That doesn't make sense in my head.
Just anyone who's listening to this who inevitably Googles Tyrone Mears, when you see the first image that pops up is him in a Bolton Wanderers kit, like, you will immediately be transported to a different time and place, and it just doesn't feel like the same timeline. It feels like one of those Football Manager things where you're like, oh, that's weird that the database like ended up with Tyrone Mears at Fort Lauderdale, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's all we've got for soccer. Any last words on that, or else we will get into the fun stuff? Alex, watching, reading, want to talk about anything? You've got the soapbox.
The only thing I'm watching is the Righteous Gemstones. Just
Sure.
I'm caught up to it. I'm loving the guest stars this season. I don't want to don't spoil anything because it's one of those shows that people watch as they go. But that's about it. And then I'm working behind the scenes in a production of Anastasia the musical next week, so I will not be available next week for the show. That's one my kids in, and I'm doing I'm on the boosters, so I'm going to be selling concessions and feeding the kids and all that. So
on Gemstones, when they do those episodes where it's the kind of flashback timeline, that child actor that they have playing Danny McBride in particular, he does his voice so well. It's crazy. Ryan, any straight thoughts for you here?
Yeah, Daredevil Born Again season finale, at least for tonight. I won't be able to get a chance to watch it for tomorrow, and that leads directly into Andor season 2 starting up next week, which I'm very excited for. But I guess in more of just kind of things that I've been going through with what you had mentioned last week with the Phoenician Schemes trailer, I've been working my way through Wes Anderson's filmography and the Aquatic Life of Steve Zissou was the name of the film, rather underrated in his filmography.
Have to give that one another shot.
Yeah, it's lower in my ranking, I would tell you, but that's like, I love all of the movies, so that's a backhanded compliment, I would tell you.
Speaking of Andor's season 2, it had me revisiting a moment from the first interview that Seriously Loco did with a then 17-year-old Diego Luna, because we asked him about his namesake not namesake, the one who shares his name, and Real Salt Lake tweeted out like he met Diego Luna on the like red carpet, which was just like a surreal moment to listen back to us in 2021, like interviewing Diego Luna and asking about, oh, isn't it funny that there's an actor with your name? And then he met him and is like a relevant cultural person now, which is just insane to think. And again, just like a commercial for the league in terms of USL, like, and I was listening back to that episode and just thinking like, Diego Luna choosing that path, like how many players since then have now chosen to go sign professional contracts in USL, like versus maybe playing in an MLS2 side or whatever, like because they know that they are going to be able to like get opportunity from that. So that was a very kind of like throwback moment. That was very cool. So just reminiscing a bit with that one, but excited similarly for, I don't know, there's just like so much prestige TV happening right now that it's like hard to keep up with. And amongst all that, I mean, Top Chef just churning out bangers. Double elimination last week. Like, who saw that coming? Probably no spoilers, but one of the best chefs in the competition gone. So like, yeah, absolutely cutthroat out there, but very much enjoying the season of Top Chef.
Now, they're billing this season as Destination Canada, yet we've only been in Toronto. When are we changing cities?
I thought for a second that they were, because they were like, there's no quick fire today. And I was like, because we're traveling to Manitoba or whatever, and instead it was a very cool episode of like all of the different cultural neighborhoods and cuisines of Toronto. But I'm sure it's soon. Like it has to be, because
you would think.
Yeah, we're like probably halfway through the season and they haven't gone anywhere but Toronto. So yeah, we got more locations in Wisconsin last season. So
yeah, that's so true. Real quick, throwing out some thoughts from Kaler here. Shout out to CBS Sports Network for using his video on the broadcast, which that's so cool. Incredible. And then his other note, his band program is playing Remember Me from Coco for their spring concert. He's yet to watch Coco without crying at some point, and it's an amazing film. And let me tell you, I have also never watched Coco without crying. That's a terrific movie.
The Richmond Kickers, when they first installed their Jumbotron last year, they started doing movie nights, and the first one was Coco. So we got to go sit at City Stadium and watch Coco.
That rules.
Not a dry eye in the house.
And then they had happy hour specials on beer and wine.
Love that.
Not bad.
On my end, shout out to the Rowdies gang for hooking me up with the kit. I appreciate them greatly. They've got the best communications folks out there in the league. Boy, 2. Okay, I'm gonna go see Sinners, the new Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan movie this weekend. I'm seeing it with friends at like 10 in the morning on Saturday because that's when it worked, which is always a good time for a vampire movie, really. But
that's a great time to go to movies.
It genuinely is like the best slot if you can pull it off, and I'm a morning person, so it works. But yeah, vampires, blues, whatever is happening in the South in the 1920s sounds like a time.
Dope. Those are, I don't know, those are like those are sicko hours, like the Saturday morning, which is awesome. And you won't miss any USL. So
I mean, it was a major reason of why I was pushing for this. So there are 4 games kicking off at 4 p.m. Eastern next Saturday, and then another at 4:30. So it's hot and heavy right from the afternoon.
One last note before we close, I did want to give a shout to my Seriously Loco co-host Mika, who has the unfortunate issue tomorrow of being a Locomotive and Arsenal fan. So Arsenal, Real Madrid, and then Locomotive New Mexico United later that night. So just if anyone's got spare thoughts, Mika's heart and cardio condition, given those are 2 big matchups for one day.
Well, Ryan and I live that every day as Spurs fans, so we can lend a little sympathy. But yeah, I think that's all we've got for the week. Thank you to everybody who watched live. Thank you to everybody who's listening on the podcast player later, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show.
The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist podcast family. Please go to protagonistsoccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see everyone again.